guys, welcome back. So what we're looking at today is 2.3, estimating sums and differences. So we're going to be doing a lot of estimating and then adding and subtracting with that. So sums represents addition, differences represent subtraction. So how can you estimate sums? Students are collecting cans of dog food to give to an animal shelter. Estimate the sum of the canned goods collected in weeks 3 and 4. So in weeks 3 and 4, they collected 237 and 345 cans of dog food. So one way to do this is to add each addend to the nearest 100. So 237 is closest to 200 versus 300, and 345 is also closest to 300, or is closest to 300 rather than 400. So we're looking at kind of what we did with our rounding. We looked to see, okay, which is it closer to? And so we'd add 200 and 300, which would give us 500. So it's about 500 cans. Now, obviously, this is a lower estimate. So this is an under estimate because we ended up rounding down. Each of our original values was larger than what we added together. So we know in the end it's going to be more than 500 because this was an underestimate. Another way to do this is to substitute with compatible numbers. So once again, compatible numbers are easy to add. So they're things that are pretty easy to add together. So we have 237 is pretty close to 250, and 345 is definitely close to 350. So 250 plus 350, well, 250, 350. Add these together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 2 plus 3 is 5. Plus 1 is 6. So here we have 600. Now, in this case, both of our numbers were larger than what they originally were. So this is an overestimate. So that means that in the end, somewhere between 600 and 500 cans is how many they collected in those 2 weeks, because one was an underestimate and one was an overestimate. Okay? All right, so we want to estimate 22.8 minus 13.9. So we could take and round the 22.8 down and do 20 minus the 13 would also round down. We could go all the way down to 10 to give us 10. So this would be an underestimate. And another way we could do this, in this case, the 22.8, this 8 could bump the 22 up to a 23. So doing 23 minus, we can take and not change this one, round it down, even though that 9 is closer to, so once again, using compatible numbers doesn't necessarily mean you round it the way you normally would. It's using compatible to make it easy. So we rounded this up. We're going to keep this one. We're going to round it down, essentially. So we have 13. So once again, we get 10. Now this one, it's kind of hard to determine whether this would be an underestimate. Well, in this case, it was an underestimate. In this case, since we're getting the same thing, if we think about it, this one we went up 2, this one we went down 9 for, so it is going to be another underestimate. So also an underestimate. So those are 2 different ways that you can take and do this. One's using compatible numbers, one's taking and rounding it to give us nice big open whole numbers, which definitely gives us not as close of an answer. So we want to estimate the sums and differences. So 49 plus 22. 49 is close to what number? 50. And 22 is close to 20. So 50 plus 20 is going to give us 70. So it'd be close to 70. In this case, we rounded up on 1, down on 2. So we're at a little bit of an underestimate, but not much. These are very close to the right answer. 86 minus 18. 86 can round up to 90. Minus 18, we could round it up to 20. 90 minus 20 is also 70. So different ways we can do this. We could have made this 80 and 10 and subtracted and also got 70. We could have made this 90 and 10. Different things. For this one, we have 179 plus 277. So we could take and change this one to 180. We can make this one 280. We could round it up to 300. There's different things we could do. We could take this one up to 200 and this one up to 300. So 200 plus 300 gives us a nice 500, which is definitely an overestimate in this case since we rounded both of them up significantly. And then the last one here, we have 23.8 minus 4.7. So in this case, we can round the 23.8 up to 24 and then keep the 4.7, just leave it as 4. 24 minus 4 would give us 20. So when it comes to estimating, there's different ways you can do it. So I did one example for all of these. We could have done different things in each case. So we could have done 24 and 5. We could have done 20 and 5. Different possibilities for what we could do here. One thing I've seen in the past is when students see numbers like 4.7, they think, oh, I'll just round it down to 0 and make it 24 or 20 minus 0, which is 20. We don't really ever want to take it all the way down to 0. That doesn't give us much to work with in terms of solving. So you want to keep it at, don't take it all the way down to 0. So like with this one, if I were to do that, I'd do 20 minus 5. That's still easy math to do. It's 15, and it makes it closer than what it would be with our 20 and 0. So it gets us a more accurate look at our answer. Okay? So once again, there's different ways to do each of these. There's not one set way, not one, we always have to round up, we always have to round down, you always have to do compatible. That's not the case. You can do any one of these methods. You can use compatible numbers, you can round it up, you can round it down. You can pick where you round it to, so you don't have to round to the nearest 100. You could have rounded to the nearest 10th and done 180 and 280 and added those together. That would have worked as well. So like I said, lots of different possibilities for how you can take and do these, but it's all about estimating. So we're not finding the exact answers here. We're finding an approximation, okay? All right, your keyword for this lesson is estimate. Estimate is your keyword for this lesson. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Have a great day. Bye, guys.